Hello everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope doing well, and today I'll be doing a review of yet another Zatoichi movie, Zatoichi's Flashing Sword. But before going any further, please be sure to smash the like button, line up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey. I also upload over at minds.com as well. Please make sure that you are also subscribed to the channel to make sure that you're notified every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So, the last movie in the Zatoichi franchise that I saw, the Chest of Gold, I was not a big fan of. I thought that it was vastly over-stylized. It felt very different than a lot of the other Zatoichi films that I had seen up to this point. Luckily and happily, I can say Zatoichi's Flashing Sword is a return to the much more traditional style that is normally accompanied in the Zatoichi the Zatoichi series in this case. This one was directed by Kazuo Ikehiro, was written by a few different people there, and of course continues to star Shintaro Katsu, who once again gives another brilliant performance here. One thing though I personally really liked about this specific movie was the storyline. So in the storyline, Zatoichi actually gets shot and he has to be taken care of. I will say that one aspect of that story of him being wounded in that way is that I was kind of expecting and hoping that he would be out for a little bit longer than what he was, but they kind of played off to say that the wound wasn't so bad, that where he got shot wasn't so bad, and so therefore he pretty much is healed in like a day or two, basically, according to the time frame of the movie. But that actually was okay because it did show that Zatoichi does have obviously flaws, is obviously very much a vulnerable character in certain circumstances, and I think they were still able to convey it, but then also still able to keep up the legend of Zatoichi being able to even withstand and even survive something like a bullet wound. Was really fun to see. There's also some really great moments in the movie, and I really do like how as the series progresses, it does really, I think, find a great balance between really great drama and also some really great comedic elements. There's this whole sequence because a lot of the film takes place over this river ford, and in order to pass through the river, there is this service that people can essentially hire out these men to carry them on their shoulders across the river so that they don't get any of their clothing wet. And I was just very intrigued by that because it made me think, you know what, this actually makes a lot of sense for a time period in which case there wasn't going to be any other ways around the river most likely, and so this is actually a pretty logical thing. I just was also really found it really hilarious though about what it actually kind of looked like to have people carrying other people across a river on their shoulders. And in the case of Zatoichi, the guy carrying him consistently makes jokes about his weight, saying, "Oh, you're a pretty heavy guy, you're a pretty heavy fella." And it's just, again, really great comedic elements and great comedic timing in that process, and it was really fun to see that play out here on screen. There's also another really awesome sequence that takes place at the river ford, where essentially you see Zatoichi bathing, and a couple of Ronin decide to gang up on him and attack him, and what he does is he leads them into the water, and then there's this really cool sequence where he essentially goes underwater and kills them all, and then just comes right back up, and then as he's leaving, he's just tapping the water. And so it's kind of that way of showing once again the various skills of Zatoichi, but then also kind of having that comedic element too of him, tapping the water as he is leaving behind, and it's very intriguing to see all that stuff play out in the film. There's also this whole dynamic of the discussion. When he is shot, he is saved actually by a woman, and obviously he at first thinks that it's a man who must have paid for the doctor to take care of him, finds out instead that it's a woman, and so he goes to her to try and pay her and her family back for everything. And during the midst of this, he realizes and finds out that there's going to be this fireworks display at some point in the film that's going to be held for free by the lord of this specific area. And so this kind of becomes a point of the film where he obviously wishes that he could see the fireworks. He's hearing about the fireworks, and the guy tells him how every 10th firework is going to be very unique and special, never seen before. And he wants to be a part of that in some way, in some aspect. And so there's a point in the film where he's sent away and the fireworks are going off, and so he's counting in his head all the different fireworks going off, and as he's about to get to a special one, they stop, and then he realizes, okay, something must be wrong, or the fireworks have stopped, and it of course forces him to return, and he of course becomes the amazing Zatoichi again, with this really awesome fight sequence where there are these candles that are lighting up a hallway, and he just slices all the candles, makes it dark, and then gives one of those great lines that he's given before, saying, now we're in the dark, now we are equal, right now we are on the same playing field. And it's just really awesome to see just how badass this character can really be, especially in these various circumstances. And then the film actually ends on a really cool note, because after he is, of course, defeated all the people that he needs to defeat, he, of course, is on the road again. There's this great line in the film where he says, a blind swordsman or a blind masseur, probably shouldn't stay in one place too long. Duly noted. Even though obviously there's this misunderstanding that takes place, it does seem to indicate the kind of mentality that you're going to have adopted here by Zatoichi going forward, is that he kind of at one point in the film feels like he could stay at this one location in one place for a long period of time, and now he's realizing, maybe I am just this wandering swordsman, wandering masseur, and that's going to be the life for me. And I'm sure that's going to go through a lot of other changes and twists and turns through the rest of the 26 films. I think I have about 20 or 19 or 20 films left that I have to watch in the actual franchise itself. But in the end, this film is a return to form. It's always really great to see that happen whenever a franchise kind of goes off the rails and then is able to come back to it. So Zatoichi's Flashing Sword was fantastic. I'm going to give this film an A-. So finally back into the A range for this series of movies. And as I said, there's just really a couple of moments in the movie where I do feel like the story is kind of a little bit of, you have to suspend your belief for just a bit. Well, obviously, I mean, the entire concept itself, but in the end, there was just a couple of moments in the film where, for instance, the boss of one of the clans is invited over, and it's already been indicated that the boss who invited this other boss is in cahoots and is in, very much a good relationship with the magistrate. And it kind of confused me as to why they didn't just kill the boss then and instead had it to where they sent Zatoichi away, and just seemed to me to be a way in which they were, kind of like this plot contrivance to have Zatoichi be away so that he can come back. And, obviously the other boss feel very confident in taking over the territory in the area. But I don't know, there was a part in there where I was like, I don't know, I feel like if you were already going to kill him and you already had the magistrate on your side and the guy didn't like this other boss, you would just be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. So that was a little bit odd to me, but again, that's very, very minor, and in the end, because of all the other great action sequences in the film, you're able to pretty much let it go. But anyway, what are your thoughts about Zatoichi's Flashing Sword? Again, so much better than the Chest of Gold, and glad to see the film back on its paces. I'm already a little bit into the next film in the franchise, and I can say that right now, and up to this point, it is still continuing on in this fashion, and starts off with a really funny beginning that I'll talk about in my next review. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, especially that pinned comment, as that is probably one of the best places where I will actually be able to see and respond to your comments or questions. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, make sure you drop a like button, light up that fire button if you're watching on Odyssey. It really does mean a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. Now for a huge shout out to all of my June Patreon and Subscribe members: Andrew Hoyle, Biffer the Hobbit, Brian P., Dion, Don Bruno de la Mancha, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toone, Jonathan Carney, Laura, the Modern Major General's Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, and rather Teresa Martin is Miss Martin Muses now, Tina Bojan, Tina B., and Washington Madranda. Thank y'all very much for being my supporters on Patreon. And to my Subscribe Star peeps, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stand For, John B., Perpetual Punster, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Nevanon G. Adams, and ZK Man. Thank you all very much for being my Subscribestar members, and if you want your name shouted out at the end of every video and live stream, please consider joining on Patreon or Subscribestar. You also get access at other tiers to things like a bi-monthly, bi-weekly, twice a month podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger, which is a lot of fun. There's also a tier in which you can join me once a month for the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where you all get to, at that level, join me for discussions, talk about any projects that you might be working on, or just hang out and have a good time. It's a lot of fun. And also, too, for many of those levels, you also get access to a giveaway section on the Discord server, where you get access to giveaways of things like 4K movies, digital codes, and tons of other stuff like that. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check out the links in the description and sign up over on Patreon and Subscribestar. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.